Good evening. Our top story tonight, Russell Wilson flies to the Pittsburgh Steelers from New Jersey. Now, why was he in New Jersey? Because he was visiting with the New York Giants. So we have officially two teams interested in bringing in Russell Wilson to be their new starting quarterback, or at least in a competition to be their starting quarterback. We also have JJ McCarthy chatter once again. Are the Minnesota Vikings the floor for JJ McCarthy? And could JJ McCarthy leapfrog Drake May? We've got so much coming to you here on Player Profiler today. Yes, Russell Wilson likely meeting with the Pittsburgh Steelers as we speak right now. He was flying to Pittsburgh earlier today to meet with the Steelers. This was reported the day before that Russ was going to at some point meet with the Steelers. We find out that is happening now, or at least he's in Pittsburgh right now. But where did he fly from? It was Newark Airport. And why was he in New Jersey? It was to visit the New York Giants. So we've got two teams officially interested in Russell Wilson. The New York Giants, who have Daniel Jones coming off a torn ACL. And we've heard whispers and rumors that they're done with Daniel Jones, that they already have buyer's remorse on the contract they gave Daniel Jones just last year, paying him $40 million per year. Knew it was a mistake at the time, continues to be a mistake. And we also heard that the New York Giants were looking for a veteran and a rookie in the draft. Now, they're probably not going to get high enough to draft one of the top three. Could they be interested in JJ McCarthy at number 4? Or are they going to wait until round 2 for a Bo Nix, a Michael Penix, round 3 or 4 for a Michael Pratt? Are they going to wait? When are they going to take a quarterback? It seems it's a matter of when the New York Giants will draft a quarterback, not if, but when. So we'll keep our eyes peeled on that. But Russell Wilson would be a very intriguing option for the New York Giants. Daniel Jones looking so dreadful this year, even before the injury, with the lack of explosive plays from the entire offense, with Daniel Jones, with Tommy DeVito gaining a cult following, with Tyrod Taylor outperforming Daniel Jones. Russell Wilson could be a solid replacement. And as for Kenny Pickett with the Pittsburgh Steelers, Russell Wilson would be an absolutely objective upgrade over Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett is not it. He was billed as a high floor quarterback, an Andy Dalton, a starting quarterback in the NFL, no matter what, even if he doesn't have the physical tools. And that just hasn't even manifested. Kenny Pickett has been so bad since entering the NFL. This past season, he was bottom 30, or at least bottom 28 in so many categories. True passer rating, Kenny Pickett's 28th in the NFL this year. Clean pocket completion percentage, he's also 28th. In deep ball completion percentage, he was actually all right. He was 18th. And in pressured completion percentage, he was 19th. So those were his better stats. And he was still just okay. He didn't qualify for red zone completion percentage, but it was 20% worse than Russell Wilson this past year. Kenny Pickett, 31st in true completion percentage. Russell Wilson, 9th. Kenny Pickett, 32nd in fantasy points per dropback. Russell Wilson, also 9th. As we talked about clean pocket completion percentage, Kenny Pickett, 28th. Russ is 17th. So it's not like Russell Wilson is the same guy he was early in his career, where he was electric, he was explosive, he was a playmaker, taking shots downfield. Because Russell Wilson, 27th this year in deep ball completion percentage. Now, part of that is Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy as your deep threats. Doesn't really work. But Russell Wilson, not as accurate as he has been. He was playing through a torn lat, I believe. It was a torn latissimus dorsi, which is this muscle in your back/shoulder area. And so Russ played through injury and was still better than Kenny Pickett at pretty much everything. And when you look at Daniel Jones didn't qualify for many of these stats this year because he was injured so early in the year. Daniel Jones was legitimately good analytically in the year he got paid, but you just knew it wasn't right. Daniel Jones ranking first in true completion percentage in 2022. Yeah, it was correct, but it just wasn't right. This isn't who Daniel Jones is. It's not representative. Sometimes the underlying metrics can lie, and they did on Daniel Jones. We all knew it, and the Giants paid him anyways. Giants regret it. But you look at the passer rating versus man and passer rating versus zone. Russell Wilson 13th in both. So whether it's man, whether it's zone, Russell Wilson is fine. He's a fine quarterback at this point in his career. He's not good. He's not as bad as a lot of people want to believe. He's not as bad as Kenny Pickett, and he's not as bad as Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, 24th against man in his last healthy year. Now, he was second against zone in his last healthy year, but that inconsistency between man versus zone just shows, okay, there's a clear path to beating this quarterback. If we want to beat Daniel Jones, play man, and he's going to be bad. Whereas with Kenny Pickett, he was just bad against both. 34th. Remember, there are 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Kenny Pickett was 34th in passer rating versus man coverage, and he was better against zone, but he was still 22nd. Kenny Pickett is a bad NFL quarterback. He's not an NFL quarterback. The Steelers would do the right thing by signing Russell Wilson. The Giants would also do the right thing by signing Russell Wilson. And I get it, he's 36, but this is a cost-nothing move. Russell Wilson is guaranteed $39 million from the Denver Broncos this season. And anything that the Giants or the Steelers or any other team gives Russ, that just comes away from the Broncos. It's not that he's getting extra on top of that $39 million. So there's no incentive for Russell Wilson to take anything more than the veteran minimum to really stick it to the Denver Broncos. Why would he do them any favors? So if you can get a starting quarterback better than the guy you have right now, better than Kenny Pickett, better than Daniel Jones, probably coming off the ACL for $1.2 million, the veteran minimum, it's still a good decision. And I hope that the Pittsburgh Steelers make the correct decision. I'd rather see Russ with the Steelers, I think, at this point, given the other options for the Steelers are Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph. They've talked highly about bringing Mason Rudolph back. And there are some people that think this is a conspiracy. This is a plan by the Pittsburgh Steelers to convince Mason Rudolph to sign for cheaper ahead of free agency. And maybe it is, but there is also a link, and that link is Acrisure, the naming sponsor of the Pittsburgh Steelers Stadium. Replaced Heinz Field, now it's Acrisure Stadium. And Russell Wilson is part of Acrisure, alongside the Steelers' minority owner, Thomas Tull, and Russell Wilson's wife, Sierra. They're the three founding partners of Evolution Advisors, LLC, a joint venture with Acrisure. So there's dots to connect Russell Wilson to the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's an upgrade for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It would be better for George Pickens, better for Deontay Johnson than having Kenny Pickett once again. So I hope the Steelers make the correct decision. I hope they sign Russell Wilson for no money, because there is no downside here at all. And Russell Wilson isn't going to be a high volume passer no matter where he goes. The Giants are going to be a run heavy team. The Steelers are going to be a run heavy team. And that's what Russell Wilson needs at this point in his career. So I hope this all works out. I hope we see Russell Wilson in the black and gold, because for the Steelers, I just don't know if there's a better option that they have, because apparently they're out on Justin Fields. If Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett are the options, give me Russell Wilson, as crazy as it is. Speaking of the Steelers, they've also made some cuts these past couple of days. Keanu Neal, former safety / linebacker for the Steelers, he's been cut with a failed physical. Safeties are having a rough go right now in the NFL. Steelers also moving on from Patrick Peterson. They'll save $7 million there as well. But we've got more coming to you right after this word from the Podfather.
This episode is brought to you by PlayerProfiler, the Dynasty Deluxe package. The rankings are the best in the industry. It includes strategy mode, where you can say, hey, change the rankings to be win now. Oh, change the rankings to be productive struggle. There's also a draft planner to help to strategize where you should take players, because the draft planner also includes ADP. There's a trade finder where we look up on My Fantasy League and we see trades that are done, including a particular player. Then there's a trade analyzer where you can plug in draft picks, players, and we assign a lifetime value to draft picks out 5 years. The best thing about our trade analyzer, it can't be gamed with volume. And there's mock draft data to see right now what's the market for player X versus player Y, including in the fall when very few mock drafts are happening. And our Dynasty guide, the Dynasty Dominator, would cost you $10 on Amazon, but you get it for free with Dynasty Deluxe, and you get our rookie guide for free, a $25 value. So you get all of that for $45. I mean, it's a great deal. Oh, hey, it's Mr. Breakout Finder coming at you. The Breakout Finder features 3 key tools: a database of metrics that include speed score, college dominator, breakout age, but also Breakout Finder only stats like dynamic score, level of competition, teammate score. All of these things are part of the overall Breakout Finder algorithm that pinpoints the probability that a player will break out. Everyone's talking about my model does this and my model does that. Well, we give you the data points that go into the model. We have a feature that lets you compare players, and then we give you the precise probability of every wide receiver, every running back, sorted and filterable by class year. So when I'm talking to my friends and I need to show them why I'm so bullish on player X, I pull out the Breakout Finder and bam, there he is. So go to the App Store, go to Google Play. It's $5 to get the Breakout Finder, and then a couple extra bucks to get some of these additional enhanced stats. Go download it and thank me later.
And we are back, and we're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers and their search for a new quarterback. Doesn't seem like they're going to move up in the draft for a QB. And if they did, it's starting to sound like they would have to leapfrog the Minnesota Vikings picking at 11th. It sounds like the floor for J.J. McCarthy is the Vikings at 11. Now, again, this is smokescreen season, but the smoke around J.J. McCarthy is just too strong. Sometimes where there's smoke, there is fire, and everyone is hyping up J.J. McCarthy. Everyone loves J.J. McCarthy. I haven't heard any of these big-time analysts have J.J. McCarthy falling out of the first round. All of the names with contacts, the Daniel Jeremiahs of the world, the Dane Bruglers, the Lance Zierlein, they all are hearing this about J.J. McCarthy, that he's going to be going round 1, and he's gaining steam, that the NFL loves him. And now we've got Mel Kiper coming out. And remember, it's Mel Kiper. Take it with a grain of salt. But he's saying that the battle is not between Drake May and Jaden Daniels. No. Caleb Williams 1, Jaden Daniels 2. The real battle is between J.J. McCarthy and Drake May, and that J.J. McCarthy was so limited in the offense that now that people are getting to see what he actually can do, they are wowed. I don't know about all of that. I still think it's wild, the disrespect that Drake May is receiving throughout the process, but here we are. Drake May would be the QB1 in pretty much any other year. I still think Drake May... Well, no, I don't think Drake May goes 2. I think the Commanders, because of the Cliff Kingsbury offense, they do end up drafting Jaden Daniels. But I think Drake May probably should go 2nd overall. But I'm not a QB scout. All I know is it's wild that we've gone from Caleb Williams and Drake May for 2 years in a row, how they're going to be the top 2 quarterbacks, to all of a sudden Drake May is almost an afterthought. But I guess this happened with Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields too. I guess sometimes this just happens, but J.J. McCarthy, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, they are all going to be battling. We're also hearing that Jaden Daniels could be falling. We're also hearing that Jaden Daniels is going to the New England Patriots at worst, and that if the Patriots don't have the opportunity to select Jaden Daniels because he went 2nd overall to the Commanders, that they're just going to trade the pick. So there is a lot going on ahead of the NFL draft. But speaking of the New England Patriots, whatever quarterback they may or may not be drafting, whoever they may sign to be their quarterback, they have another weapon. Hunter Henry is back with the New England Patriots. 3 years, $27 million, can make up to $30 million on this contract. Congrats to Hunter Henry. Still need more weapons, though. Kendrick Bourne set to be a free agent. He's hoping to return to the New England Patriots. But even if he comes back, you still need more weapons. Kendrick Bourne and Devontae Parker aren't getting it done. I do like Pop Douglas, Demario Douglas. Am a fan of him. Tyquan Thornton, not it. Doesn't seem like Keyshawn Butte is it either, but we've got Pop Douglas. Hunter Henry's a solid tight end. We just need more for whatever rookie we end up starting. Or maybe it's not a rookie. Maybe it is true that the Patriots trade the pick and they sign a veteran quarterback to start. But they're also going to have a new right tackle as well. Chuck Okorafor, the former Pittsburgh Steelers offensive tackle, right tackle for the Steelers for a bunch of years, got benched last season, which I didn't agree with. I thought they should have benched the left tackle, Dan Moore, who was objectively worse, and then put their rookie Georgia tackle at left tackle. But instead, they put Broderick Jones at right tackle and keep Dan Moore at left tackle. Maybe they make the switch this offseason, but either way, Chuck Okorafor headed to the New England Patriots, probably going to be their new right tackle. Speaking of the AFC East, we saw Jonnu Smith sign a 2-year deal for up to $10 million with the Miami Dolphins, and this is just a great fit. It makes all the sense in the world. We saw with the Miami Dolphins, they wouldn't play a skinny, non-blocking receiving tight end like Mike Gesicki. They'd rather just play Durham Smythe. And we saw with the Atlanta Falcons, Arthur Smith didn't want to play a skinny receiving tight end who doesn't block that well in Kyle Pitts. So they played Jonnu Smith. They had him on the field more. So now Jonnu Smith takes the Durham Smythe role with Miami Dolphins. Great fit. Absolutely love it. And though there will be some spikes in fantasy, but it's not going to be anything sustained. This is a very, very consolidated target share. Tyreek Hill is going to have 25, 30, 35% of the targets. Jalen Waddle, depending on how healthy he is, I still think he's like a 22% target share plus guy. He'll be fine once he is healthy, but Jonnu Smith will get some of the scraps there. We also saw some signings as well yesterday on the defensive and offensive line side of the ball. The Bears signed Jalen Johnson, their franchise tag corner, to a 4-year, $76 million deal. That's $19 million per year, which is actually less than Jalen Johnson would make on the franchise tag. $19.9 million on the franchise tag, $19 million average per year. But Jalen Johnson also gets $43.8 million guaranteed. So basically 2 seasons, 2 seasons plus of this contract are going to be guaranteed. 2.5 seasons of this essentially guaranteed. $28 million in year 1. So he is actually making more this year than on the franchise tag. $28 million with the signing bonus and all of that. And most importantly, though he's not the highest paid corner in the NFL, he is the number 1 guaranteed corner in the NFL with 57.5% of his contract fully guaranteed. That is most among cornerbacks. So congrats to Jalen Johnson coming off an all-pro year. Congrats to Kevin Dotson. He's going to be back with the Los Angeles Rams on a 3-year, $48 million contract. That's $32 million guaranteed. That's $16 million per year. And this is great news for guards around the NFL. Jonah Jackson about to get paid in free agency. There's some other guys out there too that are going to see big bucks coming their way at the guard position in free agency. Dotson, only 27 years old, so he and Steve Avila, the Rams' first pick last year, was a second-round pick, but their first went to the Lions, obviously. Steve Avila and Kevin Dotson, they are going to be one of the most dominant guard duos in the NFL for at least the next 3 years, and if not longer. Rams also bring back their left tackle, Alaric Jackson. He's going to be tendered potentially at the original round tender. He was an undrafted free agent, so he'd be receiving $3 million. Rams might kick it up a notch, so that way if a team tries to sign him away, they'll have to give the Rams a second-round pick or something like that. But 15 starts last year and held his own at left tackle. Alaric Jackson, you may not remember, he was the left tackle at Iowa, while Tristan Wirfs was the all-world right tackle at Iowa. So still, even though he was undrafted, still has that pedigree of a starting offensive lineman at Iowa. The Rams are not going to tender Michael Hoyt, which is kind of unfair. I mean, you ask a 300-pound defensive tackle to play outside linebacker, drop into coverage. You set him up for failure. He doesn't succeed too well at that position, but the Rams had to do it because they had literally no edge rushers. And then you don't bring the guy back. Poor Michael Hoyt. I mean, I guess he did get a Super Bowl with the Rams, I think he got a Super Bowl with the Rams because this would be year 3. But either way, Rams making some moves. Jaguars making moves along the offensive line as well. Ezra Cleveland, who they gave up a 6th-round pick to the the Minnesota Vikings last year. Ezra Cleveland gets a 3-year, $28.5 million deal, $14.5 million guaranteed. Now, though I did hear this might have actually been a little bit different. Ezra Cleveland, it was announced he was making $9 million per year. Now it sounds like he might actually be making $8 million per year. But either way, when that is the floor of a starting guard on the NFL, $9 million, and the upper end is $16 million for Kevin Dotson in free agency, guards are going to get paid this offseason. The Jaguars also restructure their other guard, Brandon Scherf, to make sure he can stay with the team. So the Jaguars are going to be returning 4 out of 5 starters on the offensive line, which isn't a great thing. But they're also, it seems like, blaming the center position, saying that's the only reason they were so bad was Luke Fortner, and maybe they'll sign a veteran center in free agency because there's a lot of them available. So I don't know. I just hope it's better for Trevor Lawrence in 2024. The Bills signed Mitchell Trubisky to a 2-year, $5.25 million contract. So that's a little bit more than your average backup. Bill saying Mitchell Trubisky better than an average backup. Taylor Rapp also signs a $14.5 million deal for 3 years to stick with the Buffalo Bills. He's the only safety that's going to be returning out of the starters last year. I think DeMar Hamlin is back for another year. I think he's still got a year left on his contract. But Taylor Rapp going to replace Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, who both got cut. We'll talk about safeties in just a moment. Final signings throughout the NFL is Bam Knight, Zonovan Knight, former Jets running back, is back with the Detroit Lions on a 1-year deal. Was looking like he could be the RB3. He was the kick returner for the Lions for a little bit. Then he suffered a season-ending shoulder injury, but he is going to be back and very well could push Craig Reynolds to be that RB3 behind David Montgomery, behind Jahmyr Gibbs. The Saints also could be cutting Michael Thomas. Jeff Duncan reports it. Michael Thomas is not happy at all, says Jeff Duncan is a hoe. This isn't true. He lies about players. He's fed information by the Saints, which I don't understand how, if he's fed information by the Saints, that he's lying. But either way, Michael Thomas, not a fan of Jeff Duncan, but very well probably getting cut. The way it's structured right now is if Michael Thomas and Jameis Winston don't get cut, then a massive future contract takes a hold. So they're going to get out early. They're going to take a cap hit. They're going to free up like $1 million by cutting Michael Thomas. But the alternative is a 4-year, $100 million contract or something crazy like that for Michael Thomas. So the Saints will be cutting Michael Thomas. He will be a free agent. Tyrann Mathieu won't be a free agent. He's the only other safety aside from Taylor Rapp that has it good right now. But even he takes a pay cut. 2 years, $13 million for Tyrann Mathieu. He takes less money, but adds more years, gets more guaranteed. So it works out. He was 1 year left on his contract, but he takes a pretty substantial pay cut. And the safety market is just going through it right now. It's rough to be a safety out there in the NFL. They're starting to be treated like linebackers and running backs. And we're hearing that you should expect a lot of 1-year deals for these safeties. There's so many that are available, including all pros like Justin Simmons. The Denver Broncos had to move on from the all-pro safety Justin Simmons, who leads the NFL with 30 interceptions since 2016, to save $14.5 million. These are the consequences of a Russell Wilson contract not working out. Sometimes you got to cut really, really talented players. And the Philadelphia Eagles might be the ones to benefit. I do see Justin Simmons probably getting a long-term deal. Eagles, one of the teams interested in Justin Simmons already. Christian Parker, the former defensive back coach while he was with the Broncos, now with the Eagles. So there's the link there. But there's going to be other teams interested in Justin Simmons. But there's just a lot of safeties out there to be interested in. Jordan Poyer, former All-Pro. Quandre Diggs, a former All-Pro. Eddie Jackson, former All-Pro. Kevin Byard, former All-Pro. Rayshawn Jenkins, longtime starter in the NFL. Jamal Adams, former All-Pro, but this one makes sense. Keanu Neal, also injury designation. But those are just the cuts. You look at the guys walking into free agency. Kyle Duggar's technically a free agent. He got hit with the transition tag, so teams can negotiate with Kyle Duggar. The Patriots just get first right of refusal. They can match that contract, whatever Kyle Duggar signs, with another team. But Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, CJGJ, CD Deuce is a free agent for the Detroit Lions. The Eagles also interested in bringing him back. Xavier McKinney, the Giant safety, is a free agent. Geno Stone, the interception leader for the NFL last year, he's a free agent. Micah Hyde, we mentioned, former Buffalo Bills starting safety, he's a free agent. Cameron Curl, a young ascending safety for the not the Carolina Panthers, that's Jeremy Chin, who is also a young ascending safety. Jeremy Chin for the Panthers, Cameron Curl for the Commanders. Jordan Whitehead is a free agent for the New York Jets, former starter for the Jets and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, won a Super Bowl with the Bucs. Darnell Savage, former first rounder for the Packers, is a free agent. And Tracy Walker, former starter for the Detroit Lions, is a free agent as well. The safety market is insane. The running back market is insane. And unfortunately, a lot of these safeties are going to have to end up taking less than they really deserve. And that is a damn shame. Final news and notes around the NFL. We mentioned a couple days ago how Dalton Schultz was returning to the Houston Texans, 3-year deal, paying him over $10 million per season. I think it was 3 years, $36 million. If I remember correctly, for Dalton Schultz, $12 million per season. But either way, he loves being in Houston because it's just about football. When you were with the Dallas Cowboys, it was reality TV. It was a brand. It was a show that people would come and watch. You're in the gym working out, and there's a mirror that people are watching on the other side from, watching you work out. It's truly a zoo with the media and the fans just paying money to watch these athletes. And that's how Dalton Schultz phrased it. And it just makes all the sense in the world. And hey, that's what Jerry Jones wants. But you understand why players are happy to just focus on football and not have to worry about all of the extra stuff there being put on show. It's also workout season. So Derrick Henry working out, another crazy workout video for Derrick Henry, his free agency coming up soon. Look for him to land with the Baltimore Ravens. At least that's what I am expecting. And Vegas is expecting as well, plus 110 earlier today for Derrick Henry to land with the Baltimore Ravens. Lane Johnson was farmers carrying like 900 pounds. Just an animal. Kyle Pitts with a 545 trap bar deadlift. Kyle Pitts going to be healthy this season as well. Love workout season. Love these videos that players start posting this time of year. Just the insane athleticism on display, including guys like Saquon Barkley. Haven't had a video from him just yet, but the Saquon Barkley of the Philadelphia Eagles love appears to be real. And I'm sure we'll be getting those Saquon Barkley workout videos in short time. Maybe him and Jalen Hurts working out together. We all know Jalen Hurts, one of the strongest men in the NFL, like a 900-pound squat, probably more than that at this point. But Jalen Hurts is a beast. Saquon Barkley is a beast. They could be teaming up in the backfield for the Philadelphia Eagles. But Jalen Hurts also looking very different right now. Jalen Hurts made the unfortunate decision to shave his goatee. And I got to be honest, I am not a fan. It maybe it's just change. We don't always like change as human beings, but the most common reaction I'm seeing is that he looks like Tim Meadows, the actor, which I kind of agree with. But I also understand why Jalen Hurts did shave the goatee, because Dak Prescott ripped off Jalen Hurts. He shaved the beard into a goatee, got the pretty much the shaved head as well. He started stealing Jalen Hurts' look, so I get why he had to mix it up. But Jalen, come on, let's bring some facial hair back. Maybe try the mustache. Maybe join the mustache gang as well. Final story of the day, and this was my favorite one. Duvie Kleinman and all of these aggregate accounts trying to make things as controversial as possible. There was a New York Post story, and Duvie Kleinman paraphrases the New York Post, or not paraphrases, selectively quotes the New York Post to say Pat McAfee has been banned from First Take, that Pat McAfee and Stephen A. Smith got into it on the show, that they were arguing, that they were not happy, not on the show, sorry, about a future show for Stephen A. And that led to Pat McAfee calling Stephen A. motherfucker and getting kicked off the show forever. And then you hear that both parties have been reached out to. Pat McAfee says, I haven't been banned from First Take. I'm pretty sure I'm still allowed on First Take. And Stephen A. says, Pat McAfee has never been banned from First Take. Pat McAfee is welcome on First Take anytime he would like to. So, and we're also hearing that the beef has been squashed between these two. So by all accounts, Pat McAfee had some choice words for Stephen A., called him some names, but as most adults in the business world can handle, at least when you're at the level of Pat McAfee and Stephen A., words are just words. And when you're competing to be the best, It doesn't matter. This was a nothing burger, but just once again shows why the aggregate accounts like Duvie, Kleinman, and JPA football are clowns, and why you gotta follow Player Profiler today.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.